Welcome to Mommy Heal Thyself. We feature guests who provide you with the tools, resources, and strategies you need to say no to a life of pain and suffering from all forms of preventable disease, toxic drugs, and unnecessary surgeries. We hope to inspire you to boldly reclaim your ability to heal and to serve the ones you love.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Mommy Heal Thyself. And today we have a wonderful guest. I met her at the CHD conference in Savannah just a couple of weeks ago, and some of you may have seen her on the High Wire. So we are very privileged and honored to have her with us today. Her name is Zen Honeycutt, and she's coming to us from Moms Across America. She is the founder and director of Moms Across America, a national coalition of unstoppable moms. She's the author of the book Unstoppable, produced a short film called Communities Rising, and most importantly, at least we think so, she is the mom of 3 boys who recovered their health issues by eating organic food. Welcome, Zen. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Dr. Michelle, for having me on. I love the title of your podcast, Mommy Heal Thyself, because we don't heal ourselves. We can't heal anybody else, right? We can't take care of anybody else if we don't put ourselves first. And I so appreciate your attention to health matters.
Exactly. You know, one of the things I keep on sharing with parents is that sometimes we look at our children as being the ones who have issues, but in reality, if we focus on improving our own health and our own nutrition, guess what? We're the ones who buy the groceries. So, you know, today we're going to step a little bit out of what a lot of times we consider our purview. You know, as moms, we understand that what we cook at home or what we bring into our home has a tremendous impact on our children's health. But we kind of forget that a lot of our kids are eating school lunches. And, you know, we're told that they're healthy and that they're the best thing for our kids. But your research is telling us something different. So then tell us a little bit about what made you even start to do this research and what the results were.
Okay, well, to give just a little bit of background, we're, as you said, a nonprofit. We've been around for 12 years. Our initial motto is healthy moms, empowered moms, healthy kids, actually. And a long time ago, when I learned about GMOs, genetically modified organisms in the food supply, I approached my school principal. My kids were at a middle school across the street from where I lived. And he said that he couldn't do anything about the school lunches, that it's a federal program. And my then husband at the time reminded me that, you know, this is just one little school across the street, that the school lunch system is a federal program. I was thinking too small. I had to think bigger. So I had to think national. So I did. And I had this white light, God coming through me moment in the shower. And I thought of, hey, we could join into 4th of July parades and raise awareness about GMOs in the food supply, at least label them, right? And then we would see change in the school lunches and the national food supply if people became more aware of GMOs, which are genetically modified organisms, and I can go into what those are, and the toxins that are sprayed on the crops because they're genetically modified to resist them. So I thought, let's just raise awareness about GMOs and join into 4th of July parades, because, you know, moms and kids and strollers going to DC, you know, to do like March on Washington, which is what I was inspired by. It would be difficult, you know, with moms and strollers and budgets and all that stuff. So I thought we could do something locally and that's affordable and accessible and easy to do. Just slap some red, white, and blue on your kid in a stroller and you can join into a parade. And so I made up banners. I was a former fashion designer, so I was able to design like collections of things. So I designed banners and t-shirts and buttons and stickers and flyers and all kinds of things. And we joined into parades, 4th of July in 2013, with banners that said Moms Across America March to Label GMOs. And the point was to have, you know, Uncle Harry on in the audience elbow Martha and be like, Martha, what's a GMO? And she'd be like, I don't know, look it up, Google it, you know? Yeah. And that's just what I wanted to spark, with some interest in what GMOs were, because my kids had 20 different food allergies, autism symptoms, allergies, autoimmune issues. And when I learned about GMOs, within a couple of months, those things cleared up. And within a year, my son's food allergy went from a 19, which is life-threatening, and he almost died on Thanksgiving evening because of a pecan in the stuffing, down to a 0.2 from eating organic. And so the autism symptoms cleared up, all these different health issues cleared up when we went organic. And I wanted people to know about this, and I wanted our food to be properly labeled. And I just put it out there to the universe. Let's join into these 4th of July parades. And within 4 months, we had a reach on Facebook of over 300,000 a week. And we had 179 groups of moms and parents and kids and everybody joining into 4th of July parades in 37 states for the first initiative. And then within the next 5 years, we had over 1,000 events in all 50 states. And it just has kept growing since then. I think we've had probably over 120 million impressions now, and been in over a dozen movies and spoken in, I don't know, dozens and dozens of countries. And it's not what I envisioned for my life, but I'm willing to do it because I get that it's not enough for my sons to eat organic, because I know that GMOs and these toxic chemicals affect the reproductive systems of everybody. And so if I want my sons to have healthy, happy families, which is the most amazing thing in the world, I think, to be a parent, then everybody needs to be organic, because I don't know who their future spouse is, right? So I want them to be able to meet somebody who has been eating healthy food and whose reproductive system works someday. So to me, this is a community issue, not a my family is going to eat organic issue, right? It needs to be everybody. So that's a little bit of background on how I got started, and it's just taken off from here. And I'm very happy that we have been able to do testing and to raise awareness about the food supply.
Well, I love what you were saying, especially because you have an emphasis on local movements. You know, our theme, or one of our themes for It Takes a Village, is creating global change through local movements. So
my personal commitment is to empower community leaders to be global game changers.
Yes.
It's like the same
that is
thing.
Like we work so perfectly together. In fact, I was
Great.
just on your website, like, yes, I want to be one of you guys, you know, and
Yay.
for some reason the link didn't work. So I'm going to have to talk to you about that later. But the thing that I want to look at is first to just clarify for people that we understand, like you said, that it's not just about our children being able to eat organic. It's really about looking at one of the main areas where hundreds of thousands, millions of children get their nourishment every single day. And in fact, there are lots of communities, and I was a school teacher for over 20 years, so I know this firsthand. There's a lot of communities where that is the only place where children are getting quote unquote whole meals. I won't say wholesome meals, because you're going to tell us a little bit about that, but whole meals. And so that's why it's so critical for us to look at this one area that we can have an impact on. So tell us a little bit more about that, Zen.
Yeah, sure. So we looked at the school lunches because we learned that 30 million school meals are served a day to our children. And, you know, some breakfast and lunch. And as you said, for some kids, that's the only meal that they get all day. And we know that there is not only a childhood obesity issue in America, but there is a childhood chronic illness. 54% of our children have some form of chronic illness. Yeah. And 1 out of 2 males are expected to get cancer. 1 out of 3 females are expected to get cancer. Cancer rates for children have risen 37% just since the late 70s. And chemicals like glyphosate have been directly linked to these health issues. The glyphosate, which is in the food supply now, to the tune of 280 million pounds a year sprayed on our food supply, for both GMOs that are genetically modified to withstand it, and also non-GMO foods that's non-organic, like peas and wheat and beans and oats and different types of grains. They spray it on those crops as a drying agent. So that's why it's the most widely used herbicide in the world. And when they spray it as a drying agent just before harvest, it doesn't wash, dry, or cook off. So we are consuming very high levels of glyphosate herbicide in our foods practically every meal if you're eating grains, and anything except for fruits and vegetables. It's the grains and the soy, the corn, the peas, the beans, oats, all of those, and which is practically, wheat. It's practically in every meal now. So we're very concerned about the levels of glyphosate, because it's a carcinogen, an endocrine disruptor, a chelator, meaning it makes vitamins and minerals unavailable to the body, which we cannot function without. Yeah. It damages sperm, it damages the reproductive system, and it causes liver and kidney disease. I could go on and on. So, you know, all these health issues, glyphosate, right? You know, you put two and two together, you got to start you know, you can connect the dots. You don't have to be a doctor or scientist. So we wanted to test school lunches to see what was in them. We tested for glyphosate. We tested for harmful pesticide, glyphosate and AMPA, 200 and I think over 200 different harmful pesticides. We tested for 4 different heavy metals, and we tested for veterinary drugs and hormones. And the results were over 93% of the school lunches contained glyphosate and its breakdown AMPA. 74% of the school lunch samples contained at least one of 29 different harmful pesticides. 4 veterinary drugs and hormones were found in 9 samples at very high levels. And what we didn't say then, because we actually didn't notice it, but we noticed it now through the fast food testing, is that 4 of those school lunch samples, almost 25% of them contained, 10%, because there were 43 school lunch samples and 4 of them contained an aviary contraceptive. It is an anti-parasitic drug that treats cocciditis, a chicken parasite. So they use it in meat birds, but they can't use it in egg-laying birds because it will prevent them from laying eggs. It is an aviary contraceptive found in 4 of the school lunch samples. And 100% of the school lunch samples contained heavy metals like mercury, cadmium, lead. Many of them contained arsenic, especially in the rice. And the same with the fast food samples.
And one second, Zen, because I want people to really think about what you just said. You know, we keep on complaining that our children are not learning in school, that they're struggling school, that the test scores are going down, that their graduation rates are going down, their ability to function, their ability to focus, their ability to not be riddled with anxiety and depression. But look at what they're eating. Is it a question now? I mean, come on. I'm so sorry for interrupting, Zen. I just
No, and you're right. And that's just the toxins. The minerals were so low that, you know, when nutritionists and plant pathologists looked at them, they're like, I would be embarrassed to call this food. The lab technician said there are more toxins in this food than minerals. So they are more poisonous than they are beneficial for the kids. And the sad thing is we saw some of the highest levels were in tacos and on the apple. Some of the highest levels of pesticides. So then in the process of testing these school lunches, which by the way, got very low press, people just did not want to hear about it, especially mainstream media. We learned that fast food suppliers, fast food brands are actually the suppliers for school lunches. Only 15% of the food comes from USDA commodities, like, you know, corn things and wheat and stuff like that. But the rest comes mostly from fast food. Could come from Cargill or, you know, some big food companies, but mostly fast food. And so we were like, well, let's go straight to the source and test the top 20 fast food brands. And then we added in In-N-Out because we had some board members from California that thought maybe that would be safer. 100% of the fast food brands contained glyphosate. 100% contained heavy metals. And just to break it down a little bit, the highest levels of glyphosate were in Panera Bread, and they claim good, wholesome. Yeah. Second highest levels were in Arby's. The heavy metals, the highest level was cadmium, and it was in In-N-Out French fries. And the second highest level was in a Sonic cheeseburger. It was lead, over 900% higher than what the EPA allows in drinking water. We found 76% of these samples were positive for harmful pesticides. And disturbingly enough, just one example is that the Pizza Hut samples we did 2 different types of food at each of the 20 restaurants, right? 2 different types. One was a sausage and cheese piece of pizza from Pizza Hut, and then one was a vegetable topped pizza. The vegetable topped pizza had over 21 parts per billion of harmful pesticides. The sausage and cheese one did not have any. So it's the vegetables bringing in the harmful pesticides, right? They try to kill the pests to keep them off the peppers and the onions and things like that. So it's no longer valid to say eat your fruits and vegetables to be healthy. You have to say eat your organic fruits and vegetables in order to be.
let's look at that. A couple of things that you just mentioned. Number one, I don't think a lot of parents realize that unlike when we went to school, school lunches aren't really prepared in the cafeterias anymore. They're all of this pre-prepared, powdered, stuff that they can just shove into a microwave and heat up. So it's not like the old time days when, the ladies in the cafeteria were actually cutting up the potatoes or, actually making food. This is all pre-prepared. And that's why they're getting it from these fast food sources, because they're already pre-prepared. And the other thing that you're mentioning, which is that the foods that we would ordinarily tell our children, hey, eat your veggies, when you're doing the school lunch, look for the salad bar, get the fruits. And now you're telling me that even that is horrible. Oh my God.
It's so horrible. And we found very low levels of minerals. For instance, you'd have to eat 9 servings of Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets in order to get your recommended daily intake of copper, which is very important for the balance of copper and zinc in children with autism. Yeah. Vitamin B levels, you'd have to eat 333 Chick-fil-A sandwiches as a woman, 380 as a man, in order to get your recommended daily intake of vitamin B3. And the vitamin Bs are essential for prefrontal cortex function. And it has been shown that people with vitamin B deficiency are more aggressive, like criminals, parolees, and serial killers. And I have all kinds of stories to tell about that. You can see that on an article on momsacrossamerica.org. Yeah. And then we also found a industrial chemical, a growth hormone called butadiene at 8 million parts per billion, like 8,000 parts per million, very, very high in the Jack in the Box cheeseburger. And this growth hormone causes combativeness. It causes aggression, agitation, coma, seizures. And so for me, that says, somebody going to Jack in the Box and eating one of those cheeseburgers, he could go home and cause domestic abuse. He could go to a bar and punch somebody or have road rage on the road and kill somebody. He could be a teenager that goes to school and does a school shooting or is a bully. These poisons are tearing apart families in America, and it has got to stop. They absolutely can do some safety testing and quality control testing and make sure that these harmful chemicals and toxins are not in fast food, which serves 85 million Americans a day, or in our school lunches. It's crucial that this happens. And also, by the way, the aviary contraceptive was also found in a Chick-fil-A sandwich. And we tested the top 10 for the antibiotics and hormones, and 40 to 60% of them contained monosin or narasin. These are antibiotics. And one of them causes the hind legs of dogs and horses to go paralyzed at very low levels. So goodness knows what that's doing to Americans and to children in school lunches. Who knows?
Well, what you're saying in terms of the impact that it has on our health, there's nothing new about this. Going back decades, you've had researchers like Carl Pfeiffer, who has talked about the impact that foods have, or should I say toxicity and deficiencies have on the brain, as well as the mood, as well as the cognitive ability of a child. So as you were saying, if you don't have the sufficient input of zinc and copper, that is going to affect things like depression and anxiety. If you don't have the B vitamins, especially the B3, again, that impacts directly behavior and mood. And one of the major things that you will find in every school, I dare say, in America, is that there has been a significant increase in behavior issues, as well as depression, as well as anxiety, and of course, things like autism and all the alphabet soup, whether it be ADD, ADHD, LD, there are 50 million acronyms that they'll have for all of our children. So what you're sharing with us can be so overwhelming for a mom, for a dad, who you're just trying to make ends meet. You're trying to send your child to school. What do you do? What are some options available?
Yeah. So I have to wrap up in a minute because I have another show, but I just want to say really quickly that change out the food that your child is eating the most of to organic. And for most people, that's bread, because that's where the glyphosate is. And if you change that to organic, if you change pasta to organic, You can buy rice and beans and feed your kid for about $1.50 maybe a day for, for school lunches. A lot of people do that. You put in some spices and it's very tasty. And we've had parents tell us that their kids have gone from being aggressive and violent and threatening up to blow the school to within 2 weeks being completely healthy again and having their mental, stability restored. So switch out, first of all, stop eating the school lunches and send your kids to school with organic lunches and let them choose what they want to have, so that makes them feel more empowered. And get organic fruits and vegetables for sure. Organic fruits and vegetables and organic breads. And you'll be in the right. And within a couple days to a couple weeks, they'll start sleeping better. Their behavior will get better. Their learning ability will get better. And you will save, like our family has on average, $10,000 a year on medical expenses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Zen, thank you so very much for taking the time to speak with our audience today. And we are going to make sure, you guys, that the link to Moms Across America is down in the show notes. I encourage you to go to that website, learn more about this organization, and we'll be talking about other ways that you can help your school district change the menu in the future. In any case, thank you for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode of Mommy Heal Thyself. Until then, peace and blessings.
Thank you for tuning in for this episode of Mommy Heal Thyself. If you like what we're doing here, please share, subscribe, like us, and leave a comment. Your feedback is very